Alright class, today we are going to go on a virtual field trip learning about the different kind of ecosystems that are found in the world. Now the first ecosystem we're going to look at is a desert ecosystem. And one of the largest deserts in the world is the Sahara Desert. And that is found in northern Africa, right here at the top. Now the desert is very dry. I want you to think of the kinds of things you know about the desert. Let's look at some information about the Sahara Desert. It's one of the world's largest hot deserts at over 9,400,000 square kilometers. That is huge. And if there are about 1,609 kilometers in 1 mile, how many miles is the Sahara Desert approximately? So let's do some math and figure that out. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. And after you guys do that, we're going to compare the Sahara Desert to the size of the United States. And I want you to estimate how large you think the United States would be in miles. And according to your estimation, let's take the printout that I gave you of the Sahara Desert, the outline of the Sahara Desert. You each have 50 cutout states. I want you to glue in how many states you think would fit inside the Sahara Desert. So now we're going to look at the actual size. So let's zoom out and go over to the United States. You can see our ruler was used to figure out the width of the United States. So here we go. From the west coast to the east coast, the United States is approximately 2,573 miles wide. So let's keep that in mind. And now we're going to go back to Africa and zoom in again and see the exact size of the Sahara Desert with the ruler, the width of it. Now, the Sahara Desert is just about 2,834, give or take a few miles wide. Now that is a couple thousand miles bigger than the United States, so we know that the entire United States would fit inside the Sahara Desert. That is huge. So I want you to think of the kinds of wildlife you would find in an ecosystem such as this, where it's really dry, lots of sand, not a lot of water. We're going to look at a couple pictures over here on our layers to show us that. You can see there's lots of red sand. Got a few pictures here, some landforms that are formed from the sand. There's some kind of palm trees. You can tell there's a little bit of water, but you can tell it's very dry. So there's some pictures to keep in mind. And another one of our layers we find over here is a little video clip on crocodiles that live in the water in the Sahara Desert. It's not a lot of water there, but in the river. So that's something that you can read about. And then we have a video on the wildlife in the Sahara Desert we can watch, and it focuses on the kind of insects and animals that live there and how they retain moisture in such a dry climate. So now we are going to zoom out and take a quick trip over to South America and look at a different ecosystem called the Amazon. And we're going to focus on the Amazon rainforest, specifically in the country of Brazil. So let's look at some information with our push pin here. Got our picture here. You can see it's really green, lots of water, and the Amazon is a moist broadleaf forest that covers most of the Amazon basin of South America. And this area is huge. It's about 1.7 billion acres, and most of it is rainforest. There's 9 nations that are included in the Amazon. Most of the Amazon rainforest, with 60%, is in Brazil. So I want you to think the kind of plants and animals and wildlife you would find in the Amazon. Now remember, this is a really moist and humid climate with lots of rain, lots of trees and greenery, and I want you to each make a list of the animals you think you'd find in the Amazon on your own sheet of paper. And then with your assigned partner that I gave you, you each have a laptop. You're going to pull up Google. I want you to research the kind of animals and plants you'd find in the Amazon. You can look on YouTube at different videos of animals in the Amazon. And after you've done that, you're going to pick with your partner your favorite picture or video on an animal or plant that you found, and we're going to share these as a class afterwards. So I'm going to do that activity, and here's a couple pictures to look at. Right here over another one of our layers. This is the sky reflected in the water. And there's lots of water, and it's just beautiful. There, here's another picture. This is an aerial point of view, looking down from an airplane. You can see all the water down there, and this is actually a volcano that erupted in the Amazon. So there are lots and lots of trees, lots of different kinds of wildlife there. We're going to take a 360 little trip into this tree climbing area in the Amazon. Let's just let this load, and there are lots of really, really tall trees. You can see how green it is from the rain and moisture that it gets. And we're just gonna go around this way, go up a little bit to see how tall, woo, that tree is. Let's look at the little platform we're standing on down here. Now you can see how tall that is. That's the base goes beneath that, what we're standing on. So that is pretty incredible how tall some of these trees are. And then here's another little layer, National Geographic article on the birds that come in during the really rainy season from November to April and really thrive in that area. So think of the Amazon as we watch this little video clip on the wildlife that's there, lots of birds and lizards and animals that thrive in that moist, humid environment. So the next area we're going to go to is pretty different from the Amazon. We're going to go clear up far north. You can see it's covered in white. I'm going to zoom in, and this is the Arctic tundra ecosystem. And we're going to focus specifically in this country, Greenland, and get some information here. The Arctic tundra occurs in the far northern hemisphere of the world, and it's one of the most stark landscapes. It's frozen most of the year. The word tundra usually refers to only areas where the subsoil is permanently frozen, and that prevents regular kinds of trees and plants from growing, but instead you can see from this picture it's a really rocky landscape and only low-growing plants can survive, like moss and lichen from the water there, and then it freezes. And this area in Greenland is covered by much of the Arctic tundra, as well as large areas of northern Russia and Canada. So let's take a look at this map over here. And the orange areas you see in the map are areas of the Arctic tundra. So lots of northern Russia all along here, because it's so cold, because it's so far north. And then lots of areas of Alaska right here and northern Canada. So I want you to think of the kinds of wildlife you might find in the Arctic tundra. It's really different compared to the Amazon because it's freezing, not really hot and humid. Let's look at some pictures here as it loads. This is in the Arctic tundra, and you can see there's still people that live there. There's some houses. There's the water. Most of it's frozen. Some of it isn't. It's very sunny there. That blue water, all of the ice. You can see the mountains, the rocky landscape. Again, there's a seal. You can think of the animals that would live in the water and what they would need to survive in such a cold, harsh climate. We're going to take another look at a 360 city here and go in to this little area and take 360 look around us. You can see we're standing on this rocky area. There's lots of floating ice and water. Beautiful blue sky. We're going to go all the way around. Let's look up. Nice sunny day. You can see some houses over there. And all of that ice floating in the water. So it's beautiful. It's a very different ecosystem. I'm going to go back here. Another fun little layer we have is showing a few national parks in Greenland, Arctic tundra, different areas of different wildlife you can see here. And there's even places for you to stay. If you go visit Arctic tundra in Greenland, you have to dress warm. It's very, very cold. Now our last activity, I want us to research together as a class the kinds of wildlife that exist in such a harsh climate as this. So give me some ideas of what you think, what kind of wildlife and plants would live in a really harsh environment as this. We're going to list them on the board. And as we do that, I want you to take out a sheet of paper and make a Venn diagram. We're going to compare and contrast the different kinds of wildlife that live in the tundra versus the Amazon. And think about what is different about these climates. What is different about the animals that live there? What are some of the similarities you see in the environment concerning the things that these plants and animals need to survive, water, food? And after you fill out your Venn diagram, we're going to discuss these very different ecosystems as a class that can be seen in this video compared to the one that we watched on the Amazon. And that's kind of a quick little trip of 3 different kinds of ecosystems in the world, covering very different temperatures and areas of the world that we used Google Earth for. So thanks for taking this virtual field trip together.